Hello, everyone. Welcome to Lost in the Reel. Today, we are going to be going over Amazon Prime's new film, Uncle Frank. We are going to be starting out with a little non-spoiler review, our overview of what we thought of the film, and then going to go deeper into spoiler territory a little bit after that, and we'll let you know when we do that. Enjoy the show, guys.
Hey guys, welcome to Lost in the Reel. I'm Devin, and as always, this is your host, Shawn.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for tuning in. So today, like I said, we are going to be going over Amazon Prime's new original film, Uncle Frank. It is written and directed by Alan Ball, who wrote American Beauty and also created the shows 6 Feet Under and True Blood. It stars the incredible Paul Bettany, Sophia Lillis, Peter Macdissi, Steve Zahn, Judy Greer, Margo Martindale, and Stephen Root.
This movie is about a family with strict traditional values and the relationship with their estranged son, Frank, in the 1970s. Frank is a gay man who is an esteemed college professor in New York. The movie is seen through the eyes of his niece, Beth, who, thanks to inspiration from her uncle, has moved to New York from a rural town in South Carolina. Frank reluctantly has to come home to confront his past, his family, and the deaths of his repressed father. What did you think about this movie, Shawn?
Um, I was really excited for this movie because I am a big Alan Ball fan, and he hasn't really done much in a while since True Blood. He had a show on HBO that was short-lived, and then also a movie called Towelhead, which wasn't super well received. So I was excited to see him do something, especially tackle this subject material, and I absolutely fell in love with this movie. I have not cried that much in a movie in a very long time.
Oh wow, that's surprising. I didn't know it was that powerful to you, although it is a powerful movie. I really like this movie. It had really powerful dialogue. I think it was a bit meandering at some points. I could have done without most of the college portion. Um, there's this whole story with Beth's boyfriend, like quote unquote, that I thought was kind of unnecessary. I see why it was necessary. I see why the whole college time of this movie is necessary. It's an important device to connect the past to the present. The present being his father's funeral. What do you think about that?
I disagree with you completely. I thought that, like you said, it was very important, but after the movie ended, I was like, I wanted more of Sophia Lillis's character of Beth, and I thought that college time would have really bridged the gap and got us into her eyes a little bit more. I do think I don't know. I really liked that whole college part, but I wanted like maybe another 5-10 minutes of
Mm.
that. Also, another 5 or 10 minutes near the end once the will came out. To I wanted a little bit more time there as well.
I agree with you. Um, I think that the main story, the like meat and potatoes of this was like the road trip to his family's and dealing with the funeral. So I think that a longer college scene would have made it a different movie. Not bad, and I do agree with you. If we're looking at it through the lens of Sophia Lillis not getting enough time, I completely agree with you because I think that she's a really incredible young actress who's quickly making a name for herself. Uh, but her character could have really been played by anybody. I think any decent actress or actor um, could have played that role, and that's through no fault of her own.
Yeah.
She played the character the best that it was written. But I do agree. I wanted to see more of her in this movie and more her adding her own depth to the character.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you. I think that Sophia Lillis is fantastic. She's really good in the movie as well. But I needed more of her to connect why we were actually seeing this film through the eyes of her and not through the eyes
Mm.
of Frank. And I think they did a decent job, but they could have done a better job for us to really connect with that Beth character. So right now we are going into spoiler territory, guys, so be aware. So, Devin, do you want to kind of talk about more of the characters, delve deeper into them?
Yeah, I have a couple notes here actually. Um, Paul Bettany, I he's an interesting actor. I really like whenever I see him anything. It's never been anything big, but I've always like, man, for some reason, even watching the Marvel movies, I'm like, I really like Paul Bettany. I don't know why, because his uh, his acting career has been kind of under the radar. Um, but I don't know what it is about him. Do you can you?
I think he's a really good actor. I just don't think he has chosen the right parts. Like in Priest and Legion, it's like, why is he doing these like ridiculous, overly saturated CGI action films? I think he just hasn't picked the right part until now.
That's great. Interesting thing about Paul Bettany in this movie is he almost turned down the role as Frank because it paralleled his own life. Not that he is a gay man, which I'm actually not sure about his sexuality, but his own father was a closeted gay man, was with his mother for 25 years, and this is kind of hearsay on my part, but the had an affair with a man and came out as gay and spent the next 20 years with a man whom he loved very much, and his father's partner died when his father was about 80, and he went back into the closet because of his fear of the afterlife. It's really sad and really powerful. And I would understand it if Paul had uh, avoided the part, but I'm glad that he didn't because I thought he had something very meaningful to bring to the role.
Just the fact that he was courageous enough to take the role of Frank from his own personal experiences with his father. And also, I think it's really interesting about the film is, and what I liked about it too, is that Frank is not in any way, shape, or form a perfect man. They don't try to glorify him in any way. He's an alcoholic. At one point, he ends up hitting Wally with Beth in the room, and you can see how much of a mess he is. But you can also see the love that he has with Wally and why Wally does love him as well. So I'm just really happy that they didn't try to make him like the perfect gay man. It's obviously he has his faults, and we were able to see that in Uncle Frank as well.
Stephen Root surprised the fuck out of me too
Oh,
because he's always known for comedy roles. I mean, he played Bill in King of the Hill for like 10 years, and he was also in Dodgeball. I think maybe it was just maybe the role and him combined. It was really good at illustrating how a fear in a person causes confusion and anger, which can ultimately make us take it out on uh, or push away those that you love as well as those that need love from you. What did you think about his role?
I thought that and I actually feel this way about all of the supporting characters, besides the main three that go on the road trip. I feel like Stephen Root was fantastic, but he did not get enough screen time. But the screen time that he did have was extremely effective. You were frightened of him, and he played a straight up nasty old grumpy man. Like that's his character, and he played it really well. And you definitely understood why Frank was so afraid to come out to his family because of how awful his dad was. I also think Margo Martindale, I love her in everything, and I feel like she never gets enough screen time. Felt that way here as well, but
Was she the sister?
she's the mom.
Oh, okay.
Though the mom also had a couple of really good scenes as well, and I feel the same way about Steve Zahn and Judy Greer. Both of them were great, especially Steve Zahn has a really good scene as well in the film. Um, but none of them, the family really did not get enough screen time, in my opinion.
How about you tell me about a couple things that stood out in this movie, scenes that you thought were especially powerful, themes that you thought were interesting?
Yeah, I have a couple actually. One starting out the flashbacks of Frank and his young lover Sam. The fact that it like kind of the film goes back and forth showing these flashbacks, you really see the love, the young love that he had, and how exciting it was for him to finally find another man that he felt comfortable with, that he could love. I thought those flashbacks were extremely powerful. That's where most of my tears came from. Also, near the end, once the will comes out and he's forced to come out to his family because of what his dad wrote in the will, there is a scene between him and his Aunt Butch. And the way that she basically, it's like she's like accepting him, but not really accepting him, like still
She's
being.
ex- I want to say that she's accepting him on her terms, not his terms, which is you'll take it if you can get it, but it's not ideal, you know.
Absolutely. But what he says to her in response, I think, that just hit me hard because I've dealt with that too, coming out to some people in my life. I feel like they accept me for just because they love me, but maybe they don't accept me completely for who I am. You know what I mean?
What was the line?
I don't remember what the line was
It was
exactly, but
something, well, yeah, paraphrase. It's something along the lines of, I know that that's the best that you can do.
mhm. And he was okay with that because he at least got her to acknowledge who he was or who
Right.
he is.
It's touching back to Stephen Root, but
Mhm.
the flashback when he finds, Frank in bed with another man, he wouldn't even face him, but he was a nasty man. He was repressed and fearful, and that is apparent. But I do believe that it also showed that it really all came from fear, and because clearly he loved Frank. He was the eldest, and there's always that special bond between the eldest and the father. But as he's walking out the door, you can see the like tears in his eyes. So you know where it all comes from. It's not excusable, but I think it's deeper than him just being a nasty father. Um, and even the mom says it in the end. She says he was just afraid. Your great uncle, I forget, your great uncle, whoever was also gay, and I think your dad was just afraid of that. And I thought that was well illustrated. The One of the most powerful scenes to me, um, and it's more of a character progression than it is a scene, but the a lot of times in movies, you'll have like the family doesn't know that this dude's gay, and their most repressive, homophobic brother that they have, closed-minded brother or family member they have, surprisingly, is like, oh, I love you, I love the gays, and I think that really does a lot of movies a disservice. Now, having said that, this movie did not do that. There was a homophobic brother who they were afraid of, and was you could tell was the most okay with trying to accept Frank for who he was, but it wasn't out of nowhere. It felt earned. There's an earlier scene in the movie where they're over their father's open casket, and they're talking to each other, and he says, his brother Mike, he's like, I don't blame you for staying away from us, something along those lines. I'm paraphrasing,
Yeah.
but he says, uh, like, you haven't tried, but I haven't tried either, and I really want to, and I basically I love you. And later on, when it comes out that he's gay, you can see that the only reason he was really in a mind to open up was because they had that conversation, and that conversation was powerful, and it wasn't just talk. It meant something to him.
This movie is really good at that. I feel like a lot of moments are completely earned. And I did appreciate that when I was watching the film because, you know, yes, the brother is homophobic. Yes, he could have been awful, but he also did love his brother. And you can see how different they are, but the fact that he just loved him so much that he was okay with accepting that, even though it was still uncomfortable for him. And also another moment when Frank talks to Sophia Lillis at the more of the beginning of the film, he says, "You get to be the person you decide to be, or the person everyone else tells you that you are. You get to decide." And then later on in the film, during another powerful moment, you get Beth saying to him, to Frank, like that meant a lot to me, but you're not living what you preached to me. What did you think of that?
It's something I think about a lot. In my life, I've had friends who have come to me and said, "Oh, you said this about me, and it really made me think." And I was like, "Really? I was just like, that was a passing thing. I didn't think about it. I was just saying it, not to mean that I didn't have any feeling behind it. It's just it's just one of those things that you don't really think about, and you never know the importance of what you say to somebody, good or bad. I could say something really terrible to you and think, oh, he'll just forgive me, but it could really affect you, and I think it's just something that we as humans should try to be more aware of.
Absolutely. I feel like we say a lot of things as humans, and it's just very interesting to see what clicks with people and what actually sticks with them. And I just love that the film, brought these, tied all these storylines together in a way that was effective and earned.
Real quick, another powerful scene too was another flashback when Frank is basically mimicking or parroting the words that he had heard from his father said to him. You want to be a queer? You want to go to hell? Like, it's funny seeing this pipeline of information come from the like fears of the father to a son struggling with his father's acceptance to his like scorned lover.
Mhm.
Because a lot of times you'll only see one section of that and you'll not understand where it's coming from. Like the lover from Frank, he wouldn't have known that that came from his father, but it's interesting to see that it all is connected.
You can piece everything together and why Frank did say what he did. And I think a lot of people who are gay who haven't come out yet, who are told things in church or by their family or by their friends, negative stuff about being gay, um, you know, they because they're not out yet and because they're so afraid of themselves and who they are, they will say certain things to make it feel more real to them. Like, he says he doesn't want to go to hell or see his lover again. And to him, his dad saying that to him and him saying it out loud that he doesn't want to go to hell makes him, feel like he is, he's making that idea of going to hell more real to him. And I think a lot of people do that. They either overcompensate by saying like, "Oh, I love pussy," or they, like, but even like obviously they don't. They're super gay. Different things like that. They say these things to really try to keep them farther and farther into
Mhm.
the closet.
Did you hear about that Turkish politician who is like extremely anti-LGBTQ? Um, he resigned after being found in a 25-man orgy. somebody recognized him in a 25-man orgy, and he stepped down because he got caught. And that just it's funny to me that how often that happens, how the most vocal people against like homosexuality are the most I don't know, whatever, you do you like what you like,
Yeah.
but damn, man, that's some shit to be caught up in.
Yeah, that's crazy. But that's a really good point to make because a lot of people who are very vocally homophobic or say like, "Oh, I'm scared of gay people," or "I don't want them to hit on me," or whatever, they
Or when they
actually
try
are
to
feeling those feelings.
or when they try to hit you with their truck.
Or that
Yeah.
that can happen.
um, so now we're going to be rating the movies. I really liked the movie. I thought it was really powerful. It had some really poignant moments. Um, the pacing was a little off kilter at some point, like I had said earlier with the college scene. Um, and I do believe that this had such a big cast, a big and cast filled with really good actors who oftentimes got underutilized, especially Sophia Lillis. So I am going to give this uh, 4 repressed angry fathers out of 5.
I absolutely love this movie. It will definitely be ending up in my top 10 of 2020. I thought it was an extremely powerful film that really mirrored a lot of my experiences coming out as gay. And I think just showing this coming out story through the eyes of Beth was a really great tool to tell this story, though I do think that there just wasn't enough of Beth for it to really be a 5 out of 5 for me. But I love the character of Frank. His chemistry with Peter Macdissi was fantastic, and it felt very raw and truthful, and it had a fantastic story to tell. So I will be giving Uncle Frank 4.5 angry, repressed fathers out of 5.
Yay!
Woo! So, guys, please subscribe to the channel, like our video if you liked it, and also comment down below. Let us know what you think about Uncle Frank. If you've seen it, please tell us, and we can have great conversations about it. Until next time, guys, stay lost in the real.
Bye bye.